Hello, for the class web programming 380. So today we will keep working on those source code and let you know. Based on the previous lab, we already tried to copy some example source code, and then we tried to create some view, different file, importing those file, call it as a tag, and then work on some counting function, use stage, and then we can change the CSS file. So you have a basic understanding. We can change. Of course, we will go dive deep about how exactly the class. You can see some of their class, what the ID, what the CSS doing. And right here, we will, in the main app.js is the index. So in the index, we will call different import the file, and those input file, you will see we using the use stage and then deal with the increments, the file. That's how we did, okay. And last time I leave you a question is about how can we pass the data from the child to parent. So here's the example. I already create two files. It's called parent.js, so it can be any type. So we will still using the we add use state. So from the parent.js, even I can put it in the JS. So right here is the text file. So use state before it's the empty. Right here, so I have a function. It's called the handle data from child. Okay, so this one when I call it, I have a parameter data, and then you see here is that child data. Then here's the function. We're going to update the value, so we pass the data update, and we return data from child right here. The child data will be where we define from the constant. So you see, and we have the button. We say on click, then we will pass it called the handle data from child. This function. Okay, so these are the pages. This is the parent. So we have the text. We see right here, data from child, and we have input text right here. Then what's the exactly child doing? Then here's the source code of the child. Okay, so we're using the same use state. So the child function will pass the unsend data, like comes in. So it's the prompts. We comes in, and we have the called input value set. We in input value using state default is the text is a string. Okay, and we have a function called handle submit. So when we press the function, then we will execute this handle submit. So we will have a called the onsend data right here to input the input value, and after we send it, this one is just like said as the empty string. Okay, so it's empty, and here's the input test, and then on change. That means that when we sometimes you see an on click or somehow. So right here is like when we detect the on change. So we have the event. So this one event change digit. Then we will call the function set input value. So we update the value of the target value, e target value. So it will get the value from the input text. And once we click the button on click, we will handle submit, send to the parent. So when the parent this handle submit, click on it, so it will onsend data. So if you still remember the parent JS, we have right here set child data. So here's a handle onsend data. So it returns back, handle this one and set the data. So that's how it works to send the child back to the parent. So let's see right here. If I type something, hello, test from child, then I send to parent. So it will update, and then when we clean it, set it to empty. So it will be gone, and then it will send it back to the parent. That's how it works. So I make it this as an example because probably when you create a project and then when you work on it, I believe you will use this one a lot. You need to pass because in a project we are not just like put all the components in one single file, like in the app.js. It's impossible. So when we create multiple components, then we will pass the data from parent to child, maybe return the data back to parent. So, and right here, I will give you the example on how are you going to return the data. So basically, if you create a function, then just follow this one. You should be able to return and save it. Okay, so this one is the follow-up. For our previous lab, I tell you how to do that. And then the next one is called the text, thin text. So I already give you the example code, but I modify. So better to follow the this lab and from the video. So first we need to create a theme context. So right here we will import is like create context and use context, use stage right here. First the theme context will be create a context function. So we will stay right here, okay? And then we need to create a called the provider components. So it's pretty standard. So the theme providers, and then we pass the value child, and then we send a theme and it's a theme. So by default, we call it light. And then we set up and then we call that light torture theme. So we let them, is it equals to light? If yes, I will switch to dark. No, I will switch light. So this one is the if else, one single line syntax. So right here, so we stay in the previous theme. That's how we do that. And then we have the called the theme context provider where we create right here. So we change the value theme and then dot theme. So how we pass it. And here's the parameter with the child. So just anything, we just pass it. Here's the root. And that's how we call the use context. And right here, how I modify the app.js. First, in the beginning, I need to import the file. So we need to call the theme provider and use theme. That's how we create right here. So we have function, return export, a function called use theme. So use context, that's how we use. And then also the theme context will be need to import to. So theme provider and then use theme. That's how we use. And right here, I put it in this part is the on the beginning. We see the theme provider, and then underneath will be nested with the theme component. So that's easy to call. So once you just need to put the theme provider and then the theme component. We have two tabs. Theme component and then the theme provider right here. So it's enough. And once you able to import all this, when you click on the button, you will switch. You are able to switch the color light and dark. So here's a part of it. Then you can have some time to try to copy the source code and try to experience how does it work. And then another one we always talk about is we will have the follow up. Let me go to JS. And we have sometimes we have the call the function, right? If the counter function, so I also because I'm using counter. Right here, if I call it, so I said that initial value equals to 0, and then set the counter function like counter increment, and then increase, decrease, and then set count. Here's the functions that count, and then count plus 1 minus 1, how we pass and return the value using counter. Here's another tab, like how can we using stage calling the function only and then return the value, like then we will know, okay, we have the count and the value increments and decrements is right here. And next one is called the use event. For the use event, so I would like to let you to experience. So And then one is just you need to copy the source code. We have the use state, and then that one's called the use effect. Use state will save the data and set data. So use effect we use the fetch function. We need to put a URL. For the API server, we are going to cover this part in weeks because you need to prepare for your project. So you need to form a group and then not only upgrade the web page, also you need to update with the data. So because it's kind of a big project, you need to know, so you can like working as a group and then some of you can in charge. So later I also cover how to build the API server. I will give you the source code, also how to connect to the MongoDB so you can retrieve the data. So once I can show you the example right here, if suppose your server is working correctly, you are able to get the return value. Once you get the return value, then we can call the function like get it, pass the data and call it. And what are we going to do? We can try right here at JS because I didn't edit. So you can just using the we call that using effect. So I changed the name. So you cannot directly like copy, but also you have to modify. So I will put it in below the name form. So you can put it anywhere because this one is more like it's a demonstration. So I will let you, okay. And after I import it, using effect from using here. Okay. If you see it right here, because it changed to localhost, because it's the course directory. So it's suppose you will fail. And if we gonna fail, because we need to fix it this one later, but just letting you know we can do it in this one function. Also, by the default fetch, we also have other API to call it. So just letting you know. For fetching, we will also cover later. After we build the API, then we will complete this part in the other class, maybe after week 7. That's what I'm going to do. And also in the PowerPoint, we also mentioned about the using router, and we are not covering this part because when we build our web page, the web page is not only like using one single like JS. Then if we need to do that, we should able to create different pages. I give you the sample code, but we are not really just directly using this part because this one is the one single pages. But what do we need to do? We need to install the using the npm to install the router so we can import it from the code router DOM. So we need to install it because this one is another modules. And after we install the router modules, then we need to using router tag and with the navigate and then using switch to change it. Because this one, we will change the structure. So you just need to know how can we do that. Then later I will give you some example code you can follow after we complete the API server and then connect to the database. So right now, stop this one. Just let me comment it. So I'm not really using this part, so we do not need it. And so far will be for your practice, you can follow the steps to do that and then try to based on the example I upload to you, also the lab I modify. So you need to study looking for it and then how can you use all this source code. Because when you copy and paste, suppose it's not the same because I change some of the name and maybe let it like that it fits to the structure of the folder. So you need to modify some like function name or like export name. So make it works. So far, what do you need to do? Just try to create a parent and child to see how does it work, how to pass the data, like return it from the child back to parent. And then the second thing is like try to implement the theme context, this one. Because when you start to implement, maybe you want to provide a like detecting or like let the user to choose the theme, then maybe you need to do it. Okay, here's like one of the example. And also sometimes we just have a function and return value. So here's extra work. If you still remember, we have the function for increments and decrements, right? And right now, what do we need to do? Is I try to integrate this counter with our original work. Because right now our buttons right here, and then do it, handle it in our local app. Your task is okay, try to how can using the using counter and then modify the original this like counter tag and then modify. We can change the value. That's what you need to do. And user effect, here's the structure, but because this one is not able to fetch it in this stage because we are executing from the local host. But once we finish the API server, once we are ready and able to get the data from the API server, then we will complete this file. And you will see what's the how can you load the data instead of just like using your local, create some like default data on your local. And so far is the for the task review, we need to complete for week 5. So you will see what we're going to like in when we need to do using the effect, like how to fetch the data, also the hook. And also the router you need to know, but we are not complete the router in this lab. And also the mainly is the context. So we will change the like the global state to how can we manage it. So try to test it and try to implement all those required Node.js file. And once you're able to do that, that's it for the class, for today's class. And you can try. If you have any problem, try. And then in the coming week lab, then if you have any question, you're feel free to ask me. Thank you.